I've seen lots of different brilliant rescuers. Well, hold on to your rescuer, and we're going to listen to about another rescuer. Now, I was expecting, when I asked you to find your best rescuer, I was expecting to see a few of these. Maybe you might recognize one of these. Here is Chase. He is a Paw Patrol, and he's a good rescuer because when you're in trouble, just yelp for help, and Chase is on the case. What about this one? Peso the Octonaut. Peso says, I help any creature who is hurt or sick, no matter what. Peso's a good rescuer. See, they're really good rescuers because they help people when they need help. Now, we've seen lots of good rescuers, and you've got loads of really good rescue toys, but nobody held up one of these. A baby? Nobody held up a baby, did they? Nobody held up a baby as their best rescuer. You see, in the story that we look at in the Bible today, we hear that a baby is going to be the greatest rescuer ever. Now, can you remember all the way back to last week and Christmas? We celebrated the birth of baby Jesus. Well, when he was just 8 days old, Mary and Joseph, his mum and dad, took him to the temple. And in the temple, there was a man called Simeon. Here he is coming up on the screen. Here's Simeon. And God had told Simeon to wait for a promised king who was going to be a rescuer. God had told Simeon to wait for the Messiah, and a Messiah is a promised rescuer. Now, just think for a minute. If you were told to wait for the greatest rescuer king ever, who might you look for? What might they look like? Can you think in your head for a minute what they might look like? Who might you expect? Maybe someone that looks a bit like this. Well, when Mary and Joseph took baby Jesus to the temple and they passed him over to Simeon, Simeon looked at Jesus, and Simeon knew that this baby was going to be the rescuer. In fact, he took the baby in his arms and he sings. And Simeon sings and he says this: "For my eyes have seen your salvation, which you have prepared in the sight of all nations." He says he's seen salvation. Jesus, this tiny baby, is the salvation, which means he's going to be the one who saves or rescues everyone, because Jesus is going to rescue his people. Can you believe it? The tiny, tiny baby. Well, we know that he's not just the tiny baby. He's God come to earth. And he goes on to do so many things to rescue his people. He is the rescue plan. But did you hear what else Simeon sings? Which you have prepared in the sight of all the nations. This baby, Jesus, the rescuer, has come so that everyone can see. Simeon knew everyone would see and hear about this good news. Every nation, he says. England, Wales, Scotland, Ireland. Israel, Australia, all nations, every nation in the whole wide world. But what that means is everyone needs to know that he's the rescuer. Because you remember we've heard in the last few weeks, we all need rescue from sin. Do you remember that word that we've heard? Sin is when we say, so long, God, I'm in charge, not you. And we all do it, and we need rescuing from it. Well, imagine with me for a minute that you're in your house and in the road just outside you, one of these pulls up. Can you see? One of these pulls up right outside your house. A great big fire engine. And out of the fire engine hops one of these. A fireman. And he knocks at your door. Knock, knock, knock. And you go to answer. And the fireman says to you, I've come to rescue you. What would you say? What would you think? You might be a bit confused, because what does a fireman come to rescue you from? Fire. You might have a look round your house to see if there is a fire. And then you might go back to the fireman and say, I don't need rescuing, thank you. But when it comes to Jesus, he's the rescuer that we all need. And Simeon in the temple, as he holds baby Jesus, he's so happy that Jesus is the rescuer for everyone to see. And so he sings because he's the rescuer. And so that's what we're going to do now. We are going to sing because he's our rescuer. And that's what we're going to sing. He's our rescuer. Let's sing together.